I was in a hospital bed on the phone with suppliers. Like, it doesn't stop. There's no, honestly, there's no let up. There's no let up. You've got to be on it. There's no margin for error in Jersey. You can't pick up the phone at 3 o'clock and go, sorry mate, I fucked up. Any chance you could do me a favour? If you scratch our backs, we'll scratch yours. Because I'm fucking bored of not having any stuff. And you know, when we get these 9-month work visa people over here, they're so fucking grateful. They're so happy. Their work ethic is amazing. And then we transform their lives, not only ours.
My guest today is Jamie McDonald. He's the head chef of the Quayside restaurant here in Jersey. He's young, he's talented. Let's hear his story.
Thank you for accepting my invitation.
No,
I really
for
appreciate for coming to Hospitality Insights podcast and sharing your story. We just met once at the opening of Tresor in St. Omin, and I thought that you were a really cool guy. So I'm like, I got to have you on the podcast because same as Tom, I think you kind of like share the same beliefs, more or less.
Yeah, we hit it off pretty quickly, me and Tom, through Cosmin as well. Obviously, we
Yeah.
And then I remember at the opening, it was just me and you in the corner for 2 hours. Like the rest of the great and the good.
Yeah, well, that was great because I found quite a few things about you. I mean, I left the industry 6 years ago or so, almost 6 years ago. So I kind of lost, that connection, with people that are still working. And I'm really interested, finding what people, been through, what they are at this point and so on. So that's why I thought that you'll be really an interesting character and an interesting, guest for this podcast. I want to kind of like find more about yourself. I mean, you told me, but I wanna share this with the listeners and the viewers because we're gonna be both on audio and video format. And just to tell me like how you started in this industry, if you remember your beginning and obviously till today.
Yeah, my start wasn't overly pretty. I was, how do I say this? I mean, I was 15, I was expelled. I didn't have anything going for me really. I think I was verging on homelessness, to be perfectly honest. And then I was knocking on doors asking for jobs, and it was the Ashes, if you're familiar with cricket. I'm from Nottingham. The Ashes was in Nottingham that week. Okay. It was a head chef of a really basic but good, successful tapas restaurant. He'd just taken over the week before. The old head chef took the entire team with him. And his name was Robbie. I've forgotten his surname now. I owe a lot to Robbie. And he basically said, go home, come back, plimp soles and a white t-shirt, and you start, basically. And then from there, Robbie was amazing to me. He not only did he help me and guide me, but he basically turned around and went, for what you want to get from this industry, we can't do that here. And I worked there for 8 months, and then he basically sent me off with his blessing to a 1-star called Hambleton Hall. And he really just, he told me, it's like, oh, thank God I've got a job you can do a lot more than this, and sent me packing, basically. But for my benefit, not for, like, I'm sure he loved it for me to stay, what the staffing's like, but it was great of him to do that.
So it wasn't something that you always dream of, like being a chef. It was just more of a set of kind of like different scenarios, that got you there.
Yeah, 100%. If it may as well have been, it very well could have been a news agent that went, yeah, cool, you start tomorrow. And then that'd have been it. I wouldn't have knocked on any more doors, probably wouldn't have been a chef. But thank God Robbie did. And honestly, I owe a lot to that, man. I really appreciate it.
So that would be, because that one of the questions I usually ask, because at some point in life, you have either a mentor or someone that you wanted to become, like something that you always aspire to be. So that was the starting point. That was probably your mentor at that point. Probably without him, you wouldn't be here, right?
No, 100%. I mean, I didn't necessarily learn how to cook off him, but
you got the attitude.
I got the attitude, got the aspiration. That was from him.
Well, it's all about that, because the more I talk to people, these days, whether head chef or from other industries, whenever I ask, I mean, we'll get to that, but whenever I ask what makes a good chef, or what would you like to see in a chef that, let's say, you employ as a head chef, because you probably go through like tons of interviews and all that. What do you want to see? And most of them are like attitude, because I can train him to be a chef, but I can't train him to be a team person, to have a certain love for the job, or not necessarily just for the job, to collaborate with people, because you need to be part of the team. So yeah, you know better than this. Okay, so that was how did you get in Jersey, by the way, then?
So I was doing a bit of agency work. I'd done I was helped. Well, originally, the first thing I did is came over to help run the pastry at Bohemia, whilst Steve left with his wife Ellen. To take over until he could find his full-time replacement. It wasn't meant to be here that long. COVID happened. Been here ever since. So I did probably just over a year there. Then a year at Longville was head pastry, and then now I'm at Quayside as head chef for coming on a year.
Such a big skill. I always admire people that want to do pastry, because I'm not that disciplined from this point of view. I have a scale that I use once a 3 months. So I'm the kind of guy, that I would like to live without the scale if possible. But whenever you need scales in the kitchen. You can't, especially when you're a pastry chef, it's probably your best friend, and you always need to measure. You always need to be precise. And it's something that I never really... No, I appreciate it, people that can do it, but I'm like, it's just not for me. I never really been interested in making this.
I know a lot of people that say that. They say it's you lose the flamboyancy. And as Marco Pierre White said, cooking is an art, pastry is a science. And there are, I wouldn't go that far, but there are elements of truth to that statement.
I agree.
The same way that you need to know the temperature for a cuisson on a lamb fillet, you need to know the temperature at which to temper each type of chocolate. Each different meat will have a different temperature for a certain cuisson. Each type of chocolate will have a certain temperature to temper it. And the skills are transferable, I believe. I think the misinformation is that they're not. If you show the same love and dedication and passion, it will come back just as much.
But it's such an important skill, because I remember, I was still in the kitchen now that I talked to Steve Walker there. I was working at the Royal Yacht, Sirocco at the time. And he was like, when you're going to be a head chef, we had this conversation about desserts, that I don't like making desserts and so on. And he was like, when you're going to be a head chef, do you want your pastry chef to tell you what the menu is going to be like? Or you will have your own input, or obviously it's a collaboration. It doesn't mean that you cannot take advice from somebody, but if you don't know what you're talking about, it looks kind of weird being in that position of a head chef and not knowing what you're talking about. And yeah, I remember that and even to this day, he wasn't that probably inclined of doing desserts, but he kind of pushed himself all the time to do the pastry session, let's say once or 2 weeks or once a week, to have still kind of sharpen that sword,
So the way I first started doing pastry was so I was working at this really good restaurant. It was a 1-star in Norfolk called Morstan Hall, and an amazing head chef at the helm called Greg. And Greg wouldn't let anyone leave at the position of junior sous or above unless they could run pastry for 6 months. Unless he didn't want his name attributed to someone of that seniority who couldn't run a pastry section. And then I quickly realised after I left there, and I was able to do shelled chocolates, able to make the majority of things that I still can now, and how advanced I was in pastry compared to everyone else. And I kind of used that to my advantage and honed those skills to become a head pastry of somewhere like Longville Manor.
Yeah, Longville Manor it's a big name here on the island. I think, if I'm not wrong, it was the first Michelin star place at some point, Michelin star restaurant on the island ages ago, I'm sure. But yeah, they still kept a high standard. They are known for, if not the best, one of the best hotels on the island. It looks good from food to rooms to whatever they offer there.
The thing that I loved about Longville was the garden. It was, I really love. I was in there virtually every day when I was at Longville, virtually every day through the summer, and it was damned. And 5 different types of plums, and I try and do something different with each type. Apples, honestly, all the different types of berries.
I heard that they have a garden. Is it quite big?
Yeah, I think it's a couple. I want to say a couple acres, the walled garden, and then they've got numerous trees and bushes dotted around the whole estate, which is so that right at the bottom. I believe the grandfather, Mr. Lewis, he planted 10 or 12 plum trees, and I got in half a ton of plums, and
Wow.
and I turned it all into plum puree, froze it all down in Vat-Pack bags to make sure every single plum got used, and then every other day, take a bag out of the freezer, make the souffle base that went with the damson and plum sake sauce and chocolate sorbet. Yeah.
That's such a luxury, having a garden. Well, probably in other countries it's not, but here in Jersey, I don't think. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't think there are any other places.
I've certainly not heard of anywhere else.
Yeah, I knew about Longville just because I think it was an article at some point. Like I was still working in the restaurant, and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. I mean, in Romania, it's probably not that interesting because, like, I grew up in the countryside. My grandmother from father's side had a garden. My grandmother from my mother's side, for whatever, they all had, their own. And I grew up with fresh vegetables, and it wasn't that big of a surprise. But here in Jersey, well, I never really grew anything other than, some parsley that I bought probably from the shop, like
in the window.
Yeah, exactly. So that's huge. Yeah, definitely interesting. Okay, so we're moving a bit more into it because it's the same thing that I talked with Tom about, and I really think that you guys, with what you're doing and your attitudes, you changing the industry, you kind of like move from the old school. I keep saying this. Gordon Ramsay's gonna probably kill me sometimes if I ever get big. But yeah, from what he's doing, from what he like the shouting and all that. Not that he's a bad chef, because it's not questioned that he's a good chef. It's not what I'm talking about. It's just more of like the attitude, towards your staff, the respect you have for them, the way you kind of trying to form a team, not mercenaries.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Tommy, maybe not quite so much with Tommy, but certainly I have. I've seen the old ways. I've still got a burn mark on my right arsehole, basically, from when I was
Wow.
I was set on fire for prepping something wrong.
No.
Yeah, I've had it all, and I don't. Why would I want to do that to anyone? I've no interest in putting someone through what I got put through. It doesn't.
It doesn't benefit. Nobody benefits.
No one benefits, and it's just it was big men with the brains of small boys doing the wrong things.
What's the difference now then that you see? From what, let's say, when you started, when was that? When you first joined the
10 years ago.
So let's say 10 years ago. It's not a huge amount of time back, but then I'm sure it was a big difference even at that point.
Politics.
To now.
It's politics. It's 100% politics. I myself have been, we've never lost because we've never done anything wrong at Quayside, and we never would. But even though we are a very litigious organisation and business that doesn't put feet wrong, we've been in the court 10 or 12 times in the year I've been there. And God only knows how the businesses that still operate, like the ones I worked at 10 years ago, how they're faring. And I think that it's a good thing, though. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a good thing. And it must have put so many people off the industry. I wonder how many people like myself and Tommy, I keep comparing because we're both 25, we both got.
Yeah.
How many people our age were put off, and I don't blame them. And it's a shame.
But put off by like continuing to work under this
verbal,
pressure.
physical abuse.
Yeah.
The toxic
But then now
idea.
you see this being you see this now with what you guys doing and the shift that's happening. Obviously, that Tom was talking about. You see these kind of like stopping and moving to a next level, like moving into a more humane, I would say. Although it wasn't that people got killed in the kitchen. I don't want to talk at that level, but still, bullying was like on daily basis, and not just bullying, because bullying is probably something that's the light part. And you say you got burned. Like, what are we talking about?
There's lines. I am a better. How do I say? I don't want to say it's character building, because I disagree with that, but I'm definitely a much better person because of what I went through. And To a certain extent, sometimes I look back and I think, oh my fucking, if I see this guy in an alleyway, and then I look back and go, well, I worked for him for 2.5 years, 3 years, and I look at where I was when I started there, and I look at where I was when I left, and not only was I a much better chef, earning a lot more money, able to command much higher positions at much higher salaries, I was also a much better person. And some of the things he said and did were wrong. Like, just no two ways about it, they were wrong. But for me, it worked.
Do you have issues now? Obviously, you're a young chef, Tom, the same.
Yeah.
Getting that respect, from older people from your team, older chefs, older management, or whoever you kind of dealing with?
Personally, I haven't really. I mean, there were one or two, but now with the team I've got, absolutely not. The ones, a lot of them respect the fact that I've done 10 years in very high-end restaurants, learning very different things, learning at a much faster pace than any of them. A lot of them that have done times as head chef at smaller restaurants appreciate quite how much I've got on my plate, working for someone like Martin with 2 massive businesses on the go, with food costs spiraling into 30 grand a week during the summer, and how much I've got on my plate trying to keep that whole with a business that employs 70 people. And those people respect it. They don't challenge the fact that I'm doing the job. They go, rather you than me, mate.
But I guess it comes a lot to the way you treat you. Obviously, you get respect back. And I think, I see that in you and Tom, and we could kind of compare it.
Yeah, I'd never throw my weight around, and there's a lot of it to throw around.
Nice one. How do you find this challenge, now with, because it's something that inevitably we need to talk about, the staff shortage. How do you guys dealing with, how do you manage this in your...
It's, I'll be honest, we're one day to the next. We're paycheck to paycheck on the staffing crisis. What we need to do is, so I was just discussing today, we've got a 3-bed ready to get staff from overseas in, but we're ready for it. Because we've tried our best, we've tried and failed. Our wages are above market, they're above what everyone else is offering. It's quite well known in Jersey that Quayside's, not only the tip structure, but the actual wages are above average. Can't get anyone. Right, okay, so let's look at getting some staff from overseas. We've got a 3-bed.
Are you working...
Do you know how long it takes to get them over on the visas? Just from starting the visa process to them arriving?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Over 3 months.
Wow. You can be closed down by then,
Over 3 months. How much revenue would that business lose in that 3-month process if they can't fully staff?
And then is a risk. You get them here. Maybe, obviously, they got it all right. They might decide, it's not for me. What then?
And then the other thing we've got is these staff that come over, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a very good friend of mine. And he's been over here now for 18 months, I think nearly 2 years. He's not been able to bring his family over because he hasn't got the right visas to. Imagine he's got a lovely wife and 2 young kids. Obviously, he's been home to see them. But he's over here working his ass off, paying taxes, and he can't have his wife and kids over to show him the lovely beaches. It's wrong. And why would that attract... How does that help us attract anyone from overseas when that's what we need to do? There's no other solution to this. The local people aren't interested. I don't even know if there is enough people in Jersey.
Which is fine if you provide the solution, right?
Yeah, which is fine. There's no problem with that. We can't make anyone cook, but... The solution is maybe, I think the 9-month work visas is a good idea. It's just been poorly executed.
Do you work with the Jersey Hospitality Association with this, or you guys bring people on your own? How do you do?
It's a minefield, and it's one we're only just starting to fully uncover. We do it ourselves. We have to. Because
I know they trying to get people from, is it Bermuda or somewhere?
We've got a lot of Kenyans coming over. The major issue I have with with these guys coming over is they're often on visas for other people, and because they're on visas for other people, they're actually not legally allowed to work for anyone else. So they might come over on a 45 hour contract for someone else. Obviously, whilst they're over here, they want to get as much money as possible. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
I want to help them, but they can't work for anyone else. So they're free in the evenings. They have nothing to do. Obviously they can't see the family.
Yeah.
They can't see the family. They've got nothing to do. They're over here wanting to make money. I can't even. They're knocking on the door. I can't give them a job, and it's that's a shame.
So is that what the states could do for this industry? Make these, because that was one of my questions. What do you think the states could do for it? Because they have the most power.
So we need to let's make sure that these people can, as long as they're fulfilling their duties to the people who paid for their visas and paid to bring them over, then they should be able to work wherever they want. As long as it's with the hospitality or the service industry. And then we need to scale down how long it's taking to get these visas done. We've got the rooms waiting. We're there with the money in hand. We know the people we want to bring over. Boom! It should just be that simple. Background check, make sure there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah,
get them over.
Yeah, so that would make your life a lot easier, I guess. Because is this one of the biggest challenges that you're facing at this point? I mean, obviously, yeah, the rise of the cost. The
biggest issue is staffing. It's been tough. It's been very tough.
And then apart from that, how do you cope with well, I guess you just kind of like raise the final price in the end, but how do you deal now with the changes of the prices as a head chef? Because they change probably on daily, weekly basis.
It's a weekly change, and I mean, a lot of businesses, for example, right, so lobsters, when I started about a year ago, were £18 a kilo. Just before New Year's Eve, they hit 35. Yeah.
Wow.
So nearly doubled in price in the course of 7-8 months. How come we can't charge £90 for a lobster? You know,
Yeah.
like
nobody will even touch your
yeah,
place.
and everyone will have, you know, you'll be slated on.
So do you
good
go
or bad
for
business jersey?
Do you go for cheaper ingredients then? Is that
No, and this is where Quayside, I think, does slightly better than its competitors. We still have fresh lobsters in daily. We cook them ourselves. We don't get the pre-cooked picked meat. We do it all ourselves. Meat wise, we're getting Slaney Valley Gold hung. I'm constantly on the phone to Easy Mind getting the best quality. Like we stock caviar, we stock foie gras, but the same as a lot of the biggest and best restaurants you'll find. We have the same produce, if not genuinely some better sometimes.
So do you try to absorb them somehow in the cost? So let's say you probably get a smaller margin from the lobster, but maybe with people buying a drink and so on, you try to kind of absorb in the overall cost.
100%. This is quite a unique business, I think, Quayside. Our gross profit is far lower than I reckon any of our competition. And that's because Martin is a very generous man. I don't think a lot of people see it. He, by all rights, should be charging 10 to 15% more for the dishes, in my personal opinion. And that's clearly shared by all of our competition, because that's what everyone else is doing. And he's not doing it to undercut them. He's not doing it for any other reason. He just thinks people should be able to go out for a very good meal for a fair price. And I don't think he's necessarily interested in exploiting as much money as possible out of the business. For example, the ribeyes that I mentioned, they're incredible. I'll show you some photos after. They're phenomenal that we're getting in. And they're twice the price of what our competitors are buying. And I know, for example, a local restaurant to us came in and borrowed some ribeyes. And I was absolutely on, there's 10 steaks, see through the evening, bring them back on Monday morning when you get your delivery in. And they bought back these pre-cut vat packs. Honestly, I gave them to the staff. I was like, I can't use that. It looked like a beef curtain, not a ribeye. And they're like, oh, the dry age. I was like, yeah, of course they are, mate.
So is that what would you say sets Quayside apart from other restaurants?
100%. Is it? You know, we're not £90 a head, 1-star food. I've done that for 10 years. I know what it is. We're not that. What we are is honest food done really, really simply. You know, you want a lobster and garlic butter sauce.
You're gonna get the best lobster.
You're gonna get the best lobsters, proper white wine sauce. None of this boxed cooking wine. It's It's unglamorous. I'll say that it is unglamorous in my opinion, but it's humble and it's delicious.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably value for money in the end, because you want kind of that as well into the plate. If you guys saying, that, the profit is not, I mean, obviously a business needs to run, to make profit is no question about it, because otherwise how can it sustain, the whole structure? But in the end, it's a bit of both. It's a bit business, but in the same time, let's get people enjoy. Let's get, offer an experience. They will come back. They will spend more with us in the future and so on.
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I constantly, particularly recently, have all the sales reps, all the suppliers coming down and telling me, you are the busiest restaurant in Jersey. That might not be the case during the summer when you've got the big 400 cover restaurants in the hotels. But if you just take an average of the year round, it's Quayside. We're still plucking at the numbers. Even in January, February, no one else is
the best
getting
count
close,
you
apparently.
probably can do is during this time, because summer you get tourists, that they probably come once, they will fill up your place, but not just because they didn't enjoy the place, will not come back, but they're just probably never going to come back to Jersey.
Yeah.
It's now when it's probably the hardest time to see like who's full, who's not. It's now when you kind of like...
We're busy. We are busy. There's no...
So all you need is now bring more staff.
Yes, 100%. If anyone's looking, come and see me.
Yeah, it must be complicated because I think that's when quality in some situations, I'm not saying in your situation, but sometimes with other restaurants goes down the hill when you kind of like, you have, let's say at the beginning, you have a team of 10 chefs, and then after you drop to 8, you drop to 6. I mean, it's just almost impossible to keep the same kind of like quality from, the way you prepare. Let's say you make a stock, like, you know what, today I can't be bothered, to stay do 14 hours or 12 hours, or how many hours to work because we don't have staff. I'm just going to buy something today. And then it slowly kind of the quality goes down the hill.
I mean, I can see that happening. It's never been me. When we've been short-staffed and I've bit the bullet. I've done 90-hour weeks there when I have to, but at the same time when we're fully staffed and we're not stupidly busy, I'll happily only do 40, 35.
Yeah, trying to balance.
Got to balance it out, rough with the smooth. But yeah, when it hits the fan, it's on me. 90-hour weeks, I'll be there at 3 a.m. passing bisque off. Like it's
if it's needed,
it's
needed.
It's needed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's something to appreciate because. Especially at your age, and I see the great attitude you've got towards work and towards like it's your name on that, on whichever the dish is going out the kitchen. So you care about that, and it's not that often that we see that. And it's a shame in the same time because even from like other head chefs, I'm not saying that the one I invited, because I genuinely believe that the people I had here so far, they all care about what they serve and the way it looks and the way it feels, like the whole experience. But I think other chefs, they just don't treat this that seriously. It's like, oh, we don't have staff, we'll just, I don't know, we'll just drop the standards, I guess. What can you do? But yeah, it's something to appreciate for sure. How is there a challenge getting ingredients here on the island? How do you cope with that? Because that's probably another issue.
I'll be perfectly honest, I'm just on it. I'm on the phone with suppliers for at least an hour every day. I've just been really, I recovered 3 days ago, but last week I had norovirus. I was in hospital with dehydration. I was in a hospital bed on the phone with suppliers. Like, it doesn't stop. There's no, honestly, there's no let up. There's no let up. You've got to be on it. There's no margin for error in Jersey. You can't pick up the phone at 3 o'clock and go, sorry, mate, I fucked up. Any chance you can do me a favor? And there's 3 people within driving distance that will have whatever it is you're looking for. I have set dates for set things to arrive every week, like creedy carved duck breasts. Like, I have 100 arriving then, 83 days later, 83 days
just to make sure that you have the constant flow.
Yeah. Just to make sure that always there.
Approach you need to do that.
I'll always ensure with Easy Mode, we've got the right ribeyes at the right dates. Make sure but it's across the board with everything, absolutely everything. Even looking at the Christmas New Year time when obviously the boats don't go out, having to organise the fish up to 10 days in advance. Yeah, that was a logistical nightmare, but I was on it from the start of December. It wasn't something that I thought about the week before. It was, I need a 7 kilo halibut then. I'm going to need about 300 bass then. I'm probably going to need 200 bass for that week. I'm probably going to need between 500 and 600 bream over the course. You know what I mean? I was making these phone calls at the start of December just to make sure everything was in place, because we are such a big restaurant. No one in Jersey is carrying the kind of stock it would require to keep us afloat. Like, I mean, my veg bill was like £500 a day. Like, if I'm not on top of that, no one carries that. No one carries that.
But yeah, going back to the staff thing, because I think, I keep talking to people, from the industry, and some of them, that are more of in the older kind of like generation. They say, that it's not, the industry used to be kind of like sexy. Used to be sexy being a chef. Used to be cool being a chef. But now it seems to be like a second-hand job in certain situations. I don't know, depending on levels and so on. But for someone starting, do you have any advice on how to get into it? Would you recommend going through school? Would you recommend going straight into a restaurant?
Honestly, I hate it. I mean, I never went to college, but I hate the idea of it. When I was 19, I'd been in 1-stars for probably just over 3 years. And I had guys who'd done 3 years at college coming to me when I was, what was I? I'd have been a senior chef de partie, maybe a chef de partie, around that. And people coming in asking for CDB roles. And it was like, watching them work, and it was like they had no idea. They were an apprentice still. Yeah. They were still an apprentice, and they thought they'd had this brainwash that they did 3 years at college. Oh, well, that's it. I'm a chef de partie now. Not
it
the
doesn't
case.
work that way.
It doesn't work that way. You learn as much in those 3 years as I did in 6 weeks.
It's true. Yeah. When getting into, I mean, I would. Same, talking to Tom, going back to conversation, we were like kind of agreed on certain stuff like HACCP and all that part, that it was good. But on the other hand, I talked to Steve, and he was like, he came on with a different angle. It was like, well, yeah, but now these days, you can organize one of these courses just for your staff specifically and get it done this way. And I'm like, okay.
So I've just taken the same route as Steve by the sounds of it. I've just phoned up Mercury. I've got Mercury coming out with the sales reps to give a full hack-up demonstration to the entire team. Obviously, I've had one, but just to make sure everyone knows. Boom. That's an hour out of the morning. As I said, hour out of the morning. How many days were they doing that at college?
It was, I wouldn't say that it was a bad choice, because I'd done college in the same time as Tom here. It was just like part-time once a week. It wasn't full-time. It was fun. That was the good part about it. Me and Tom both, we were going with one knife. So we were sharing a knife in between us and then just cooked that way. It was crazy, man. Honestly, it was fun. But apart from that, yeah, I can't say that, you learn a huge amount of things, It's just because working in Ormer at the time, Michelin star place, going to the college, it felt a bit like going down the hill, but it was great fun. From that point of view, I would say, yeah, totally. But yeah, you learn a lot more in the kitchen.
I mean, what was I going to say? Well, when I was head pastry of a restaurant, and one of the lads was asked to do 3rd year pastry at college. They were like, "Oh, we want you to do 3rd year level," and he went, "Why?" He turned around to them and he just gave them the honor. Why would I waste 30 hours a week coming to college, not getting paid, to learn from someone who quite possibly doesn't know as much as the person who I can work for, get £20,000 for that year, and I'll learn a lot more, because not only is that person probably better, but I'll be there twice as much.
Yeah, I mean, it comes a lot to, I guess, what level you are when you have this question in mind, I guess.
For me, I it didn't matter what I was going to do. I was going to make sure I got to near the top of the field. I wouldn't have been happy just to sit around and plod along. I wanted to make sure I was somewhere by 25. And if you want to be a chef and you want to get somewhere by 25, find your nearest 1-star, knock up, ask for a job. I promise you they'll take you on. I promise you they'll take you
All
on.
you need
tomorrow.
is the right attitude.
Yeah,
I guess,
just
right?
just knock on the back door. Sorry, chef, can I have a job? Perfect. You start tomorrow. I guarantee you I guarantee you that's how it will go down. You go there and you just work and you work and you work. You get knocked back. You get up. You go back. It's as simple as that. You do that for 10 years and you decide actually Michelin star food isn't for me. Fine. That is fine. But you are miles ahead of your competition who worked in the said, I don't know, tapas restaurant for 10 years because of the experiences you've got from that background. You command a higher position, a higher wage, a higher living standard, effectively. And that's why it doesn't matter. I don't think it really matters what your end goal is. You know, if you say you go down that route for 10 years and then you decide that you want to do a mediocre tapas, I keep using it for example. I saw more 4-year aged Blackfoot Iberico legs of ham in English 1-star restaurants than I've ever seen in tapas restaurants. I saw more mangalitsa pork loins in 1-star English restaurants than I ever have on a menu.
Because the standard is so high.
Yeah, you know, you want to go, oh, let's put some pork on, and it's like, what's the best pork we can get? Oh, it's the Spanish mangalitsa. Let's get that. And you get it. It's got 3 inches of fat around the loin, and it's this very special thing. And you'll get that experience that you won't get from. And the skills are transferable. You know, when you go back to the basic pork loin that you get from the local butcher.
Yeah, totally.
But it gives you those options. For example, at Quayside, I mean, nothing outrageous, nothing stupidly difficult. But when Martin goes, I want something special for this person, or Valentine's Day or New Year's, I want a 7-course menu with content, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. If you never work to that standard, you will never have that ability. You won't learn how to do a chicken and Madeira consomme working at somewhere like Quayside. You have to work somewhere a bit better, with a bit higher standard. But you learn those things, and then when you're at the right point in your life, you can go, actually, I'm happy cooking these really good steaks and these lobsters, like doing it with a bit of salad and parmesan. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think even if that's where you end up and that's where you want to end up, you've still got to walk the road of the 1-stars. And I won't change on that.
Yeah, I would at almost just for I can't remember, it must have been 5 months, 6 months or 7 months or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I'm always bad. I mean, I can get people to roast me whether it was 5, 6 or 9. I just don't remember stuff, that well. But it was a great experience. I always wanted to be, I was like, I want to see how this runs. I want to see the standard. I want to see, what makes this different. It was great. It was hard work. Oh my God. It was probably the hardest. And it wasn't just, I enjoy working with most of the team. Sean wasn't my favorite, I can say it, no problem. It's not something that I will hide. But luckily, Tom was still there at the time. There were still a few guys that were actually quite good. Head chef Lee, I'm not sure if you ever met him. Yeah, he left actually the island a while back. He was a great guy. So that was what kept me going. But once I got to not that I got to a level, I just, felt like, this was something that I always wanted to do. I've done it. And then I move on somewhere kind of below, but going to some more of a management position, like sous chef.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That 6 months there advanced you.
Oh my, it was great.
Yeah.
It really gave me so much. And it's the confidence as well. Once you go from there to somewhere lower, you know that you are ready for a variety of jobs. And pastry's never been obviously my priority, and I never really wanted to get into it. But at some point I ended up, being a head chef myself. So I'm like, okay, get the pastry book out and let's just do it. What you got to do about it now? It's not like there are other options. I didn't work long as a head chef because I switched career entirely, so I'm not in the hospitality anymore. But it's difficult, managing people. It's not just the cooking. Because I was telling to Tom and the other guys, cooking is the romantic part. That's the easiest part of the job. So for people that don't really understand what's your 12 hours or how many hours in a day job, at work, apart from cooking. Because what people need to also know, I mean, I'm not saying that they need to kind of like cry because chefs, they're in a terrible situation sometimes, which it happens, but it's a lot more than the cooking, and it's a lot more hard work than that. And not just for the head chef, but obviously for the rest of the staff. But specifically for head chef, what's your job in a day? For example, going in the morning to work till evening, apart from cooking.
Right, so get in, check the orders, phone the suppliers. There's always issues. There's always a few things missing, not turned up, not available. Phone around, see who else has got what. Look at, oh my God, what's the price? Jesus. phone at the competition. Is that right? Is that? Yeah, they're having me on, aren't they? They're fucking having me on. Right. I'm not paying that for that. Well, you can either come and collect them or you give me the right. Okay, cool. And then staff issues. That's straight away. Then it's when's the tips going to be ready? Jamie, I'm missing 2 hours off my pay last week. Jamie, my brother's got a bad leg. He can't come into it. Jamie, my daughter's sick. I've got to go pick her up from school. And then deal with those issues, and then by that time it's 11:30. I have half an hour to set up my section for lunch, and then bang on 12 o'clock, 12:50, just as the owner comes and grabs me, takes me downstairs. Oh, we gotta fucking sort this shit out. We've got to talk about this, and then we sort out whatever that problem is. By that time it's 1 o'clock. I walk back upstairs. Everyone's looking at me like, "Fuck have you been?" Shit, the ticket rails for shit, smash that out, and then oh no, the KP's bloody just trapped his fingers in the door and he's broke it.
Reports.
Okay. Let's fill out the accident report book. I had to walk him to A&E, come back, wash the rest of the pots because everyone else is, and then everyone else has gone home, wash the pots. Then do the actual prep I should have been doing in the morning through the afternoon. 5:30 comes round, and then it's just dinner service. Pretty normal for the evenings for me, actually. Just do dinner service, have a big clean down, do the EHO books, and call the orders through until like 11.
And then the following morning start again.
All over again.
Yeah.
I struggle to get the mornings off, but I can get the evenings.
Yeah. Because these mornings where pretty much everything kind of happens, like especially suppliers orders and making sure that everything comes okay.
Staff issue, but just even when I'm sick, or I'm ill, or I can't actually work that day, I go in there at 10 a.m. and look. I stay there for 10 minutes. Right, has everyone else turned up? Right, everyone else has turned up. Right,
that's a bonus already.
What's up with the orders? Okay, right, I'm off. I can't be here. But it's the evening. By the time it gets to the evenings, I have very minimal head chef problems. I've sorted them all out by then. But the prep, and the reason I often have to work through most days is because the prep that should be designated to that section that I'm on for that day, I physically can't do it in the morning.
Yeah. Well, if you have like that many things to worry about when it comes to whether staff, whether complaints, sometimes whether like meeting the manager, meetings in general, obviously it's not something that, and it's something that, it's not, that's probably another difference, which I never actually experienced, because when I started, it was already kind of like all over the place. Most of the head chefs I worked with, they were kind of doing a section. Wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to sit at the pass, swipe right, swipe left, a bit of puree, and I'll see you guys later. It was so much more. And even that segmentation in between sous chef, so for example, commis chef, chef de partie, demi chef, and all that, it kind of went, everybody was doing everything just because, you had no other options. So it wasn't just like, oh, the pastry chef probably is going to do just pastry and just light kind of a bit in the other section. You kind of needed to be the jack of all trades, just because there is no other way with shortages of staff and so on. I don't think I ever worked in a kitchen where let's say, or maybe probably you did, where the commis chef was basically just kind of like part of, it was just kind of helping the the chef de partie or the sous chef.
No,
I don't think I ever
I
seen
never
it.
worked in kitchens that big, but the kitchens I worked in, there was often 1 or 2 commies, but they just got passed around like rag dolls. You were the garnish chef for an hour, and then he's like, oh, fuck off, go join the sauce chef, do a few jobs for him, and then they do a few jobs for him, it's like, oh, all right, go do a few jobs for pastry, and then peeling grapes and pastry for 2 hours, jump on pots for 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
It was all over the place.
But again, that's not.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
As I was about to say, it's not to be derogatory to them. It's not. That's how you learn.
Yeah,
that's how you learn.
As long as there is respect.
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that, it's all good.
When I say getting passed around like a rag doll, or passed around like a lit spliff, it's just it was a good way of doing. Oh, cool! I've never prepped salsify before. Right, well, peel 4 buckets, and then this is how you peel it. You got to keep it in lemon water, otherwise it goes bad. Oh, they've learned something there. And then they go over to the meat and fish section, and they go, oh, I want you to do me 3 different. I've got to make 3 different stocks today. Do me 3 different types of mirepoix. I need 1 for the fish, 1 for the meat, 1 for the chicken. And then they learn that the difference that the white chicken doesn't have carrots in, and that the fish one or the bisque one has like fennel and maybe some tomatoes if it's bisque. You know what I mean? And they learn that, and then they go over to pastry. And it might just be something meaningless like chopping up strawberries to make the jam for the breakfast, but they learn how to make the jam.
Yeah.
And they go on the pots and learn a bit of being humble. But
yeah, I know it's definitely a progression, and it's great to kind of experience doing a bit of this, a bit of that, and sometimes even kind of like he's going to give you the idea of what you want to do when you get bigger. Let's say maybe you'll once you get to the pastry session, you see how the jam is done. Maybe you know what, pastry is what I want to focus on, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't know the rest. But yeah, I can't remember seeing I can't remember seeing this kind of like granular kind of like difference in between sections, in between everybody's doing everything.
I love doing it. Even as a sous chef, as a head pastry, if we got work experience, I got in bad trouble. I'll tell you about that one. But I used to love taking them around. Oh, this is the larder fridge, Have you ever tried caviar? I can't give you much, but here's just like 6-7 balls. Try the caviar. You ever eaten crab? Here's some fresh picked crab. Let's go over to the meat section. Oh, bet you've never seen a whole hind quarter of a cow, and you open the fridge and it's like this giant, and they're like, wow. And then she's back into it, and they're like, oh, what are you making? I was like, oh, I'm making the sake. You ever tried sake? Didn't know she's 15. Trying like the dry sake, and I was like, oh, this is the sweet one we use in pastry. Like, the plum.
Maybe I tried a really bad one, but sake is not my favorite for some reason. I probably tried some really bad ones.
One of my favorites is I think you're friends with Radu at
well, not necessarily friends, but I know him.
If you go, what's it called again? Mind escapes me.
Well, his last name.
No, his restaurant.
I think he was
Kyoto.
Ah, you mean Mihai?
Oh, Mihai,
yeah, sure, yeah, I am.
Sorry,
yeah.
not Radu. Mihai.
No, all good. There is a guy Radu, which is that's where I got confused.
He stocks it. It's a yuzu sake. Honestly, I can drink it like lemon water. It's just goes by. It's so clean.
They've got quite a few varieties there. Yeah,
and I'm with you actually. I didn't really enjoy it until recently, and then the thing that made me start enjoying it is I spent way too much money. Omakase sushi restaurant in London called Arakai. It used to have 3 Michelin stars. And I went, you know what, sod it. I'm only going to be here once, and spent another 500 quid on the sake pairing, and it was special. Like the varieties, I'd say, are actually more pronounced than the varieties you get with wine. Wow.
Yeah, I only tried it once, and then it was like a staff party, something like that. And we were at Soy here. We ended up there. I can't remember, and I think you have 2 options: warm or cold, if I'm not wrong, or something like that.
Yeah, warm or chilled, yeah.
Warm or, yeah. Pretty much.
I can't drink the warm ones.
I tried the warm ones thinking like, you know what, this sounds interesting. And we had it warm, and it has such a weird taste, and I'm sure I was doing something wrong, or like sometimes you just don't pair like the food you're eating, it just doesn't work with the drink. So I think it probably was a bit of that. I'm sure I'm going to give it a better chance in the future.
Yeah, I'll try the yuzu one from Mihai. That's
I'll give you a go. Yeah, I mean I'm going there tomorrow because they start their Japanese Sunday roast tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to
That
it.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. You check on their Facebook page. It's really.
I'll be honest, me highway might be soon, but the amount of money I spend there, Jesus Christ. Every night off I get, I'm either going out with my wife or if I'm at home, I'm not cooking.
Yeah.
It sounds really bad. I've never been like this before, but it's probably because I've never earned this kind of money before. But even if I just have a night at home, Kyoto takeaway, I'll get a load of sushi. My wife always has the chicken katsu curry.
Yeah.
And honestly, the takeaway man's just fucking bored of going to where I live. Every time
knows exactly
he knows.
where-
He's like, I'm getting out of the car. Can you meet me at the
Yeah, nice one. I like the pork katsu. It's called different. I can't remember exactly the
Is
name.
it the one with ramen?
It's no the pork. That's cashew. I think
Tonkatsu.
cashew something.
Oh,
Yeah, tonkat exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always get these messed up. But yeah, I like the pork. I'm Romanian. We eat a lot of pork in Romania, so I'm treating it as a schnitzel more than anything else. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, I like, and the portions are decent. And I think the price is fair.
So
especially
cheap.
Yeah, I keep saying to him.
Me high, put your prices up.
I said to him, I think these Japanese Sunday roast, I'll show you some pictures after that. I mean, you can find him on his Facebook. I think it's going for like 2 people for 52 quid. It's a lot of food. It's like the whole table is filled up with food almost. You'll see like when I'm going to show you to you.
Yeah, go on.
But I think that there's going to be something. It's just pork, but it might be something that'll be interesting, the way he's doing it. And I like that he's trying different things. I guess, from working, under someone's command in a way, working for being just an employee basically and having your own restaurant, you have a lot more flexibility. Because in the end, it doesn't work. It's nobody above you.
I think it's a massive issue in Jersey. And it's why there's very little innovation in Jersey. There's very little new or exciting things. And it's often because the owners have done what they've done for 20 years. It's worked for 20 years. Why are we going to change? And we need more small independent restaurants with people behind the helm, such as Mihai, doing different things, not just
doing what they want and when they
whatever
want.
it is. They
Yeah.
want. Batana, another brilliant example.
Well, you are, I think, the third or fourth person that talks about it. And I'm kind of intrigued now. I need to check this out. Tom was mentioning also about
Well,
it.
me and him went there together.
Oh,
as
you
well.
both went together, yeah.
Me and
Nice one.
the owner of Homefield. He might be he'd be a very good guest actually.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll try to
I
get
don't.
him.
Your similar podcasts in the UK often get in. Well, not often, but they'll often have special programs with. So, have you ever watched and listened to the Nightcap?
No, I'm actually
it's-
terrible on consuming. I could produce quite a lot.
So
but
it's
then
very
consume-
similar. It's very similar. Very
Yeah,
similar.
I definitely want to get these people.
They'll get. The head of it's called Flying Fish in the UK, and they are the biggest to all the Michelin stars, all of them, and they got them in, and then. But I think it'd be a good guest.
What's your relationship with the suppliers? Are you in?
Good. I
Quite
like to
tight,
think. Yeah. I like to think good. I'll tell them as it is. If I'm not happy, I'm not happy. At the end of the day, I'm the customer. But Paul, as I said, Paul from Homefield, great. He's doing amazing work there. I love Amar at United. He's a great character.
Who are the
Simandis.
strongest?
I tell you what, Simandis. I don't know the owners. Never met them. Probably never will. But my sales rep is also called Radu from Romania. I don't know if you know him.
Probably. I mean, yeah.
And
Radu is quite a Romanian name, so it's.
He won me over big time, and I'll be honest, we probably spend near £1,000 a day during the summer with them because he is there. Because if the second deliveries come at 1:30 and it's not right, they send the wrong thing or it's shit. I phone Radu, and Radu drives to the warehouse, opens it up, delivers it in the back of his own car. Sorry, mate, it wasn't right, and collects the thing that's wrong. No one else will do that, and that is worth more to me than.
It's all about the customer satisfaction in the end, because you can rely on them if something goes wrong. And then when next time, let's say that's how I see it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Next time when you want to buy, you have 2 different prices. Maybe they're just a touch more. Yeah. You will probably go for them just because you know that
that service is. It's worth so much. It's worth so much. It doesn't matter what it is when it is. I know that restaurant is covered. I could be off. I could be on holiday. They could phone me, Jamie, we fucked up. We haven't got this. It could be 4 o'clock on the Saturday. It'd be a favour to pull in, but he'd never say no. And that's why we use them a lot.
Well, that's good. So what are these your... So two main suppliers. You have Homefields, you have Simandes, and who do you...
United.
Well, I mean, they do quite a lot already. Simandes, when I left, they were like emerging into like other products, and they were expanding like crazy.
They're massive. And then Easy Mine I use for the top quality is Slaney Valley Gold Irish beef. It's better than anything else I've had recently, particularly the ribeyes. But here's one thing that grinds my gears. Although we do use them for fillet, and they are expensive fillet, beef fillet is one of my most hated things ever.
Wow, we had a heated conversation, me and Tom, about... Well, him was more about... he was kind of like... Not angry. It was just like kind of... It was like it's something that puts him off, you know. Like
I bet if someone like him with a small menu, I bet it fucking annoys him the fact that it's always got to be there. Because I know I think a lot of other restaurants that I've worked on similar to that, they have the same mentality. Oh, we have to have beef fillet, and it's like it's fucking irritating for people like me because I'd never order one. I'd never want to eat one. Even at work, you know, I can eat one whenever I want. I never would. The ribeyes, however, phenomenal. I'd rather eat a sirloin over.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying that, you know, the Jersey market is not open to new, and it's got so many difficulties, you know, on putting something new in the menu. Apart from obviously when it's got like set menu specials, parties, private parties, and so on, because people are just not open to new. You know, they will just go for whatever they feel just comfortable with. You know, sea bass, fillet, chocolate brownie, let's say, or something like that.
Yeah, well, it was certainly something I struggled with a little bit when I was head pastry at Longfield, which is an old institution. However, the owners were very welcoming to it because they were massive foodies. They knew what I was talking about. They knew what I wanted. They saw my vision. They were nice people, really nice people. Guests, however, didn't. The amount of substitutions I got on everything because I've never heard of that. I'm not eating that. What's this sake? What's this? Oh, I don't want chocolate sorbet. Can I have chocolate ice cream? And it's like they don't understand that it's different fat contents and you know what I mean. It's actually the texture that you want, not the and the flavour
and the combination of, let's say, the sorbet with whatever other ingredients was better than with ice cream, probably.
And they're like there was quite a few things. There was so many.
Have you had any like crazy complaints going into this? You know, like have you had like any crazy complaints in your career that you can remember now? Because I'm sure there were a lot, probably. And some of them, I'm not saying... We
couldn't do a Béarnaise dairy-free.
Well...
that was... Because I said her out mayonnaise. I had no idea what she wanted. No, to this day, it makes no sense. I'll be honest, whenever we get a complaint, I very rarely struggle to find it out without some kind of justification. I find it very upsetting when cuissants of steaks come back wrong when it's overcooked. It's like, that is
because people don't understand sometimes, you know, what they're ordering. Is that what the problem is?
I think people have different perceptions on what things are. So for some people, medium rare is a little bit flabby in the middle. For some people, it's like that perfect pink throughout, which is for me. And for some people, it's still got that grey line around the outside. And we'll do it properly, which is that even pink throughout. And the people who prefer it a little bit rarer, even though they've asked for medium rare, it's overcooked. And people who prefer it with that grey line. I've had people who request their duck breast medium rare, and I'm like,
wow.
Right, nah, you can't eat. I said to her, I was like, nah, it's going to be chewy. I was like, you can't. Pink, yes, I love it pink throughout. But if that same cuisson on a piece of beef, you'd call it medium. And they're looking at this, and I'm like, I served it. I was like, I know this is coming back. I can't eat like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was sealed, you know, it was pink. It was like
it's safe to eat in a way.
Yeah, I know, it's safe to eat. I mean, but it was flabby, and I was like, because that's how duck is unless you cook it to medium. And then it came back, I fucking knew it would.
I remember it was doing, the craziest one I ever heard, you know, a request. It wasn't a complaint, it was a request. There was a French gentleman or lady, I can't remember, it doesn't really matter. I was doing breakfast. I was doing some part-time at the time, like just between switching to IT, from kitchen to IT, I was doing a bit of part-time just for like a few more months after that. And someone was asking for bacon raw, but like, the bacon you're getting, it's not that high-end bacon, that's properly cured and all that, it's these pack with, I don't know, 10 quid, I don't know how many rushes, So he was asking for that, and they were eating raw bacon. I'm like, what's going on with people? Yeah, so raw bacon, they literally, I'm like, you sure? I mean, I kind of had second guesses giving him, I might kill him, but then in the same time, he's cute, but he's not good. I'm like, yeah, go for it. If
Whatever you want, mate.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was weird. I'm like, who eats raw bacon these days? I mean, I get it, when you're, maybe this is a bit too cooked, it's too crispy. I get that, it's a personal preference. But going raw all the way, that was extreme to me. How do you see, going back to it, how do you see the customers changing? Like, or do you see them changing over the years? Like, for example, 10 years ago when you started to what customers are today? Do you see a change from that perspective? Or
dietary's massive. Used to just forget about it. Can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
A lot more demanding, particularly in Jersey. And this is what I put it down to. If at birth you are given a title of entitled, you grow up with that in your veins, I'm telling you. And that's a big thing over here. So demanding, a lot of people who unjustly so. We also have... People know a lot more now. I'd say the vast majority of customers know a lot more.
Is that good or bad?
I think it's good. It's good.
Because I had this conversation with Monvina in the morning. He was saying exactly the same thing. So probably they kind of educate themselves. So that probably helps.
TV, 100%. Yeah. It's the information's everywhere these days. You can buy 3 different gelling agents at Waitrose. You know what I mean? They've got 3 different grades of steak. They've got bloody such truffle pecorino. Like it's and
the variety's there.
It's in everyone's faces. It's in your face these days. It is in your face.
Okay, going back to ingredients. Do you have certain local ingredients that you love here, and that you, for example, that's a priority for you to add it to a menu? Do you have something like this?
So the majority of a lot of our menu is local. So all the seafood's phenomenal. The oysters are some of the best in the world that I've had. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I was at a 2-star in London that had oysters from Greville.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And crabs. Before I moved here, but I've seen Jersey crabs on the menu in Paris. I've seen maybe not the lobsters, but we get the lobsters.
So seafood, we are top.
Yeah.
Top notch.
We're known for. We're very known for, and I'm fortunate enough that it comes through the door every day, kicking and squealing when we put it in the steamer.
So that's something that you guys are known for doing. Obviously, Quayside. The name is in the is there.
During last summer, I was getting some really good local line caught turbots as well, like really good quality, like better than the stuff I was getting from the south coast of the UK. It's the best in the world.
Is it harder getting even the seafood? Because like Tom, for example, and even Steve was mentioning, even the local ingredients like seafood.
It's going overseas.
Is it harder getting that locally now? Do you guys have this issue?
As long as you're organised, I mean, I don't know what they're after, but for the stuff we use at Quayside, it's as long as you're organised, you can get it in. The thing it does do is it drives the price up massively. So if for some reason there's a massive demand for lobsters in Toulouse for a festival, it doesn't fucking matter what the price was yesterday. You're going to have to outpay the Frenchman in Toulouse for his little festival. It doesn't matter. Like the majority, and the owner that I work for, he's a big friend of the fishing industry. He's got his own boat that he goes fishing on. He knows the people. He knows the industry far better than I, and I've learned a lot from him in that respect. And So the guy we buy our hand dive scallops off, majority of what he sells goes to France, and
Wow.
price wise, we're not competing against what we're not competing with the locals. We're competing with Europe as a whole.
Oh, wow.
So the majority of what he sends goes to France and Germany, and we're not competing. Like, we've got to pay more than France and Germany will pay, which is fine. That, you know what I mean? It's a free
Is it
world.
because you get a lower amount? Is that the reason? You get
No. But why would he sell 5 kilos? If he,
well, that's
he
what I'm
can
saying,
only
yeah.
get he can only farm as much as he can farm. Why would he sell 5 kilos to me at £2 a kilo cheaper than he could? You just wouldn't. You just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's business.
Supply
that's
and
fine.
demand in
That's
the
fine.
end, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is just a fact, and it is something we have to think about.
Yeah, so that's why the price. Yeah, obviously it makes sense. Yeah, supply and demand will drive the
And it's why,
price,
as I mentioned earlier, the lobster price went up to 35 quid at New Year's. Everyone wants lobster for New Year's. Everyone wants lobster at
And then
Christmas.
did it go down again once?
It dropped down by about another 6 quid after, but still nowhere it was a year ago. But that's it. You know what I mean? The price jumped up 7 or 8 quid over the course of 2 weeks just because everyone wanted one at home. And we're not outpaying. You know what I mean? We're not charging more. We couldn't put the price up by £10 on the menu for that week, £12. We can't do it. We can't change the price on the party menu. Can't do any of that. So we have to buy the bullet.
You know what? It's crazy because I feel like I might be wrong here because, you know, I didn't work as a head chef for a long period of time. I only done up to a year. When I work, it was a bit more predictable. So if you set the menu, chances are, if you do it seasonal, I'm talking, for the summer, spring, summer, let's say, or summer, then more or less you will continue with these prices almost for the entire season. And then prices will rarely ever kind of like change because you had this agreement with the suppliers. But now, when I find out that, you know, weekly basis, sometimes, you know, like probably from one day to another, prices are changing. I'm like, what's going on? It must be so much harder.
So suppliers have said to me, like, before, when you used to set up a price point with a certain thing on them, they wouldn't check it. They'd check it every 3 months. They check it weekly now. You can have an agreed price point for something. They'll check it every week. Make sure that they're still buying at the same price they agreed for with their suppliers, so your price point is still making them the right amount of profit. They check it weekly now. It used to be 2-3 times a year. And here's the thing. I think if this happened in any other industry, people don't necessarily bat an eye. I mean, we've probably put the prices up as well as the rest of our competition have as well by about 10% over the last 2 years, despite the fact we've had higher inflation in our cost prices than gas and electricity.
That's crazy, yeah. So you still feel like you are way behind from this point of view. So you could increase it like easily with another 10 probably.
Yeah, but people are kicking off like, oh, we can't afford to eat out. We can't afford to eat out. And before you know it, we're going to be like Paris, where it's £20 for a bowl of soup, and and then I'd hate for it to happen to the point where we outpriced the ability for people to do it every week. I'd hate to see that, but at the same point, something has got to give. Like for example, Dover sole. We've got it on our menu for, I want to say, 50 quid, £55. Okay, that costs £40.
Wow.
Like by the time you put everything else on it, probably more.
But that's not profit. You probably minus.
We make a tenner on each one we sell. Like it's like, and that doesn't account for staff.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you are definitely
hours,
getting
time. Yeah, like that table to wash the napkin. I think it was about £2,000 a week we spent on the laundrette.
Going back to fillet steak now. Get a fillet steak because that'll be an example that everybody kind of understand. Yeah. You see it with like 10, 12 quid in the shop and expect it to get it for 15 because it's so much more going on.
It doesn't work. You buy a fillet for 12 quid in the shop. That same portion of fillet costs us £9. It's not like it's not like because you go to a restaurant, the food they buy costs half the price.
Yeah.
It's not. I guarantee you what you buy. Honestly, sometimes it's even cheaper than the actual suppliers.
I was surprised till I got to the point of like doing invoices myself. Because you have the impression, you know, you buy it from the wholesaler. It sounds like, oh my God, they buy like a huge amount and they get it so much cheaper. It's not really the case.
No, it'll be a few pence. If you're talking about fruit and veg, it's a few pence. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes the supermarkets hyper inflate the price or something and put it in a nice bag. But but generally, and then people go out, they try and do a pad thai or something at home, and they'll still spend 30 quid making it. And then they think that they're getting overcharged when they go out to the actual Thai restaurant and spend 50 quid on it. It's not, like, they've got to make a living there. Right, we actually lost money last week, and that 50p for that, it will, and you've got to think about that whenever you give a pay increase.
I agree. There's so many things to kind of consider. It is difficult, you know. It's a difficult little industry. It's not like others. Let's put it this way. Yeah, it's not like others. Now going back to food, do you have things that you hate cooking and things that you like cooking? This might be a really kind of like wide and open question, but you know,
things that I hate: curry. And I know you had Mavinda here earlier. It's not because I hate it. I love curry. In fact, I've eaten at Bollywood a couple of times. I hate it because I don't know how to do it properly.
Ah, okay, so you don't understand.
I can't fucking do it. Same with sushi. I actually, to be fair, I've probably got a better grasp of doing sushi than I have grates. But I watched because obviously Ruth said Mavinda's brother works with me, and I watch him make a curry, and I'm just like, it just seems so bizarre. Like the process, just you take all this oil, you blend it, and then there's about 5 kilos of nuts, and there's and then tomatoes.
So many things going on.
And it's just like, and then I'm just like, oh, you've lost me. I'll come back in an hour. It's delicious. But that's probably my most favourite thing to cook. Turbo or champagne. Turbo with champagne.
Oh, nice one. That sounds good.
I've talked Martin into buying a hammered copper turbot pan for the
Wow.
It's 1,500 euro, made in France. It's this beautiful diamond copper pan with basically a lifter tray, and you put the turbot on, maybe a few aromats, lemon, dill, whatever. Bottle of champagne over the top.
So is it the whole turbot you're talking about? Wow.
Yeah, whole turbot. Well, to be fair, you could probably, if you get between 2 very greedy people with a small whole turbot and 6 people, if you get the biggest one that will fit inside this kettle.
Sounds like
they're called a kettle.
Quite like an experience, that.
Yeah, and it's what I want for the restaurant in the summer. You know, I'll carry a couple of different sizes, maybe a small one for a couple of 2, but if you get a pre-order, maybe might have to do on pre-order with 100. Because to get a turbot big enough to feed 6 people as a main course, it's probably going to cost us 200 quid. So we can't be sitting on them. But as a special, imagine that going out for dinner with 5 mates, pre-order, and this massive copper pan comes out to the table. Take the lid off, lift the turbot out. Someone's there taking the fillets off the turbot for you, putting them on your plates.
Wow.
And the other person's there with all the juices and the champagne at the bottom of the copper tray. A bit of butter and then saucing over the turbot.
It sounds very, very fine dining in my view.
Well,
it's basic at this point, but
it's not the
experience.
Yeah, fine dining, yes. Refined dining, no. It's gonna look like someone's dropped a bit of fish on a plate and you've got this super loose sauce. I know, but the
experience itself, I'm talking, it's really.
I love that. And the extravagance of a whole, but at the same time, is it really that extravagant? It's just a whole fish.
Yeah,
it's just a fish.
It's very basic at its core.
Yeah, just that with a few Jersey Royals, that the sauce made from the champagne might be a bit extravagant, but the champagne poured over the top and the sauce of all the juices that's come out of the turbot, and
I was going to ask you. It's nothing.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you have like a signature dish, but that might become your signature dish.
It's going to be the turbot and champagne.
But that sounds interesting.
But I think it's such a showpiece as well. Imagine being on that balcony. Have you been to the restaurant?
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine being on that balcony, overlooking all the boats. You know, lovely summer's day, Riddell glassware, a nice bottle of an oaked Chardonnay, maybe a Pliny Montrachet, and you know this giant copper pan comes out and it's taken off the bone at the table. I mean, it's just that to me is what Quayside should be. That, and I hope we can get there.
Do you see any trends in this industry? Like, for example, before I left, I mean, I'm sure way before that, but like sous vide was like, everybody was sous videing anything. It was to the point that I'm like,
It got ridiculous.
Yeah, it got like to the point that it was sous videing like every single thing, and I'm like, wow, we're moving like, and then it kind of like dropped slightly, and then obviously there was a period with foams, there was a period with gels. I mean, that's still kind of going, but not at crazy level. I mean, it's nothing wrong. I'm not saying it's something wrong, but do you see something like this now in the industry?
I'll be perfectly honest, you're asking the wrong man. I'm just classical for I've never worked anywhere super modern. I always worked in 1-stars where it was, copper pans, and we cook the veg in the pans in foaming butter, and we do it just before we serve it. None of this, we'll steam the fennel at 75 degrees for 3 hours. Get fucked. Get fucked. No.
Yeah, it was a crazy period. Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask, just in case you kind of like keeping up to date, not necessarily that you're trying to implement.
I'll tell you what, I'm guilty of following the trends on one thing, and that is I'm an absolute fangirl for Cedric Roulette. And when I was head pastry, I had all the pavoni molds, and everything was dipped and glazed and sprayed to look like a fruit or a chocolate bar or a bloody. It's like the apples from the garden. They went out as an apple. I mean, I'm not the first to do it. What else did I do? I had a tiramisu shaped as a coffee bean. That was probably my favorite. That one looked amazing. A few others. I think. Oh no, my favorite one actually. Tell a lie. Was the dessert peach melba?
No.
So it's vanilla cream, raspberries, and peach. Yeah, so they're the 3 elements of the peach melba. Yeah, but the raspberries has to be raspberry sauce. So I had this peach mold that I lined with a whipped peach mousse, and then had a raspberry sauce in the middle. And when you cut into it, the raspberry sauce the plate, and that was
that was a lot of effort.
That was a ball, and getting it so it didn't come out after it defrosted. Oh mate, it was a logistical nightmare. But I got it, and then I walked out before it got on the menu. They're probably still in the freezer. Honestly, I felt bad about that one.
Great.
Spent all this money and time developing this. I mean, it was all my equipment. I spent the money on the equipment.
Oh, okay.
But spent all this time there developing this dude. Everyone was like, fucking hell, Jerry, this is amazing. Wow, this is walked up.
Yeah, talking about classic, isn't that? Yeah, I can see that even talking about this turbot and the ingredients you kind of like, we talked about till now, and the way you kind of like run the kitchen and the ideas you have. I knew that, you are a bit more towards classic than, jumping on each one of the trends and trying to be something else. Classic would always be classic and it will stay there. Yeah. It's a good base to begin with. And then, obviously you can take it in different directions. But do you have a favorite cuisine?
Classic French.
French is your,
French,
yeah. I was expecting that, but yeah.
Foie and, maybe Italian to a certain extent. Mediterranean.
Overall, Mediterranean is interesting.
It's just fresh and
simple. They all based on ingredients. 3 ingredients is a dish.
A ratatouille, there's so much of this. It's got to be fresh. I mean, I know I'm a big guy, but I actually quite like my light food. A lot of the modern stuff is light, but it just lacks flavour to me. It's got to learn to be a bit more punchy, or like when everyone through that stage of doing spherification, they'd make this amazing flavoured whatever puree or liquid, and then they'd spherify it, and then oh wow, cool, I'll eat that little bubble, and then you're like, oh, that tastes amazing, and then you're left with this condom in your mouth you have to chew on. And it was like, I hated all that. Hated that.
What's your process of developing all these dishes? I mean, you've got a base of classic French probably, and how do you adapt it to Jersey? What's your process? Do you have a process whenever you add something to a menu? How do you decide what goes in the menu? what's right, what's wrong.
For me, it's seasoned, and if someone comes to me and goes, "This is from down the road," cool. I'll take it and I'll run with it. That's always the driving force. I'll be honest. At somewhere like Quayside, the menu is as is. It's not overly seasonal, and it's just an institution. It's that you can go there and you know what the menu's going to be. You've been there 10 times before, and it's always and because it's massive, it is bloody massive. It's like 4 pages long. You're always going to have you can always have something different every day of the week, and you won't get bored.
You want to offer variety.
Yeah. But generally speaking, before I took this role, it was if someone gave me something local down the road, I'd take it and I'd run with it, and I might do something. I'd take my notebook out of everything. Say it was an apple or a pear. Everything pear related I've ever done. And I might go, and I always looked at it and went, how can we slightly Jerseyfy this? And Jersey dairy, or maybe swap the beef out for retired Jersey dairy cows, or what else is the island famous for? But it's or black butter, or just something a bit different.
Make a sauce with black butter.
Yeah.
Incorporate the local.
Yeah, like an apple sauce, but made from the black apple sauce.
Do you have a favorite restaurant here on the island? I mean, that's always something that kind of like.
Wouldn't say I do. I am a frequenter of Kyoto and Samphire. I'm probably at Kyoto more often, but only because it's a third of the price. You couldn't eat a Samphire every week, could you? Big fan of number 10. That was
never tried it, but
I've had 2 good meals there. Where else do we go? Forgotten the name of it. We've been there 3 or 4 times. It's a new favourite. That Thai place up near Green Street. Little Red. I don't know. I forgot what it's called. But that's amazing. If you want Thai, I've forgotten the name of it. But,
that is all good.
It's up near Green Street. It's literally opposite my flat. I can see it. I can see it from my back balcony. Where else? I had a good meal at Tresor. Obviously, I've not been a regular because it's not been open long enough. But got a wonderful wine list there. They have a wonderful.
Yeah, the wine list, and it's quite affordable. I would say
very affordable. You'll find primo bottles of wine in there cheaper than you can find them from wine merchants.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's because they have a real passion for wine. Because obviously, he's been doing.
It's just as important.
Yeah,
and I've only recently started doing it, but I will check a wine list before I go to eat out somewhere, and it will stop me eating there. I could quite like the look of the food, but if the wines are all meh and they're like expensive, I ain't going.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you have comfort food? What's your comfort food? Let's say on your day off, it's like, you know what, this is my
carbonara.
Carbonara will sort it.
But done properly.
Yeah.
I have a freezer full of guanciale. I have fresh pecorino. Like, it's
beautiful.
Done properly, but but it still only takes 10 minutes. Everyone goes, if you do it, no, it takes 10 minutes still. It's just, just got to make sure you have the right ingredients.
The fat fat slowly. You don't want to, nice one. Yeah, beautiful. I like Italian food. Oh my. It's my favorite. Yeah. And Mediterranean in general, I'm like, give me more of that. Don't get me wrong, French is okay. I do like certain parts, but I just feel, like that's me, Mediterranean style all the way. I do like a bit of Romanian as well, but we are heavy on pork and all that. Oh my.
What were they making? Oh, what did I have the other week? It was like a mixture of pork and beef mince, and then this fucking threw me off. They mixed raw rice through the beef and pork mix, and then they put it inside a pepper, and then they like boiled the pepper. I was like, honestly, he had it on the stove for like 8 hours, and even though it was on there for 8 hours, I'm like.
He needs to cook
his way that rice is good, but it was actually quite nice.
It's good, but I think you need the recipe I know. You cook the rice a bit, like you do for risotto, so you give it a bit more love than that. But Although, you know, even that way it works well. You know, that's probably the emergency one. Just get it all in there. But yeah, it takes like the slow cooking. Unfortunately, the peppers here, you know, because if you use bell peppers, it's not the same like the ones at home. The ones at home, I remember.
You did say this.
Yeah, the bell peppers will not get you the same results. Plus, they are really thick, so that's why you need to take. It takes that long. The ones at home, I can't remember like exactly how they're called, but they're thinner, like the layer of the pepper itself, so it cooks faster, and it also has a different flavor, obviously. So that's what makes it a bit to cook faster, and also they are smaller, so that's more or less, you know, a bit more. They look better as well in the plate. You know, you put like a whole bell pepper in, I'm like, what's going on here? It looks a bit weird, but yeah, and sometimes they're served with tomato sauce, but a sweet tomato sauce.
Yeah, it was
kind of like that.
Yeah, it was.
It's interesting. Yeah, interesting one. That's probably a spin-off on sarmale. Have you ever tried the Romanian? So it's basically kind of the same mixture, but just wrapped in cabbage leaves and cooked more or less the same way. But it's usually in combination with some smoked meat. So you'll have some smoke to give them some sort of like smoky flavor. It's amazing. It really is. Yeah, if you get someone, you know, that can cook that.
I've got a team full of...
Oh, you got it? Oh, okay, then, yeah.
I almost 90%.
Oh, wow.
90.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Romanians here in Jersey are a strong backbone of the industry. They still going strong. For how long, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I know quite a few that they're still going, which, yeah, fair. We need them, I guess. I mean, from my point of view, we need them. Not that I'm Romanian, but what would Quayside do if, let's say, they all walk out? What would other places?
Or if they all had to go home, or for whatever reason, we'd be fucked. Yeah. As would every restaurant in town.
Yeah.
Bloody all of them. They're like, and thank God they are here, and thank God they work as hard as they do. That's all I can say.
Do you have any restaurants that you would like to see in Jersey, or different kind of food here? I mean, with being a small island as we are.
I'd like to see more people doing. I'll tell you what we need. We need a Five Guys or something like it. You have Five Guys, right? Honestly.
Not in my hometown, which is kind of small, but I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Five Guys. Next time you're in London, on a connecting flight or whatever. Honestly, I've
never been to Five Guys.
Do you know anywhere in Jersey where you can get a really good burger? Really, just.
I mean, are we talking fast food or in general?
Either or. I've not.
Mark Jordan used to be well known for his burger, but I know I actually never tried it. I work a bit in the kitchen just as an apprentice, and it looked good, and it was good. But I don't know. Yeah, there are not probably many places. You're right. I mean, there is one which they do some dirty burgers. You know, the Hungry Man. Must have been probably Hungry Man, but those are a bit more like the cheap side, the cheap kind of like burgers. Not. I wouldn't say.
I'd like to see a good, and also I'd like to see a fast food restaurant that's open till 11:30, and 2 a.m. at the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh God, honestly, you finish work at 1 on a Saturday or something. There's nowhere to.
I thought McDonald's they do no.
Not till 1.
No, I don't know.
Not till 1. I don't know.
McDonald's is not my favorite, so I tried McDonald's probably long ago. KFC? Yeah, KFC, I'll take that. Yeah, it feels a bit more... It feels more like, I don't know, it feels like chicken. Let's put it this way. And the other one is a bit more of a mixture of like dodgy stuff. But yeah, for whoever likes it, I have nothing against them.
I'd just like to see more... Just something different. Everyone's doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, I'd like to say Quayside's a bit better than some of the competition around that square. But ultimately, we're all basically doing the same thing. You could all go into any of them and get a fish and chips or a burger.
Yeah.
Or a steak or a pan-fried sea bass.
Yeah.
Someone, for the love of God, do something a bit different.
Have you ever considered opening your own? I mean, I know you're still young. You have tons of...
I have, and I will. I've just bought more.
Nice.
I recently bought all the stuff so my wife can start her own business.
Wow.
And who knows, in a few years, might be mine.
Exciting.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah, because Yeah, it's one of those. I think, at some point, if you work in this industry,
You've got to, if those people who don't at least aim for, at the very least, personal freedom to do what they want.
yeah. Would you do it
But-
here in Jersey? Is that the plan, or?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I think the more I stay here, the more I say yes, because the tax. I honestly, every time I go back home in the UK, I do a bit of work for someone. I do the tax, and I'm like, fuck this. You come out with less than half.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, so yeah, that's good. How do you balance? I mean, you mentioned a few times that you've got your wife. How do you balance work with? Because you do a lot of hours. I mean, you said sometimes
We don't. She works 70 hours.
Is she
a
doing?
week.
Is she at the Quayside?
No,
or
no. She works. She looks after kids and runs the entertainment. Well, looks after the entertainment at the Merton in the evenings through the summer. But she kind of does 70 hours. We don't. We have one. We're lucky to get. On average, 90% of the time, actually, it'd be fair to say. Right, let me start again. 90% of the time, we get 90% of the time we get one night off a week together. That's it. The rest of the time, I probably get home between 10 and 11. She's just got home.
difficult?
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. Like, we're both young, though. It doesn't really bother either of us because we'll still stay up till 2 in the morning every day, making sure that you get that time together. Like, even if it is just playing cards with a glass of wine, like, we have that every night. I'm quite fortunate at the minute. I don't really start work till 9:30, 10. So I can stay until 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we have that time together then. And then the one night we have together, we do something good. We
Going
always
out
eat out, go to a cocktail bar,
Nice.
make it something. But the honest answer to the question is we don't. I haven't got an answer for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, I guess, in a way that she's in hospitality as well,
Yeah.
so she understands, I guess. Same when I started with my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she was working in hospitality, I was working in hospitality, so it was a bit of an understanding, like, if you need to do extra hours, you need to do extra hours, what are you going to do about it, But I think it's such a hard way to make it work, if, let's say, one is in hospitality and the other one is in finance.
I can never see that work.
Yeah.
I can't.
Exactly.
It would. I see people trying to make it work, and I'm just like, I just don't see.
It feels like a distant relationship, more or
I
less.
don't see a way out. Like, I couldn't. I mean, me personally, I can't imagine getting home every night at 5 o'clock and just,
Yeah, you wouldn't know what to do with yourself.
Honestly, I'd be awful. I don't know. I'd probably be an alcoholic or abuse Xanax or something. I don't know. I got to be doing something. I get that there's hobbies and all sorts, but imagine coming home at 5 and then your partner's. I couldn't do that. I get pissed off if I get an evening off and she hasn't got the same one. Like, because sometimes you can't work it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the honest answer to the question is we haven't got it solid. But one evening, I think one proper evening out every week is more than most people who actually work 9 to 5 and live together.
Yeah,
and that's.
I mean, if you did the most of it, then
that is a sad truth behind it. And then, well, it's not sad for us, but I know a lot of couples who both work 9 to 5 who don't have half the actual experiences together, going out and we did this, we did that, we tried that, blah, blah, blah. Like, even though as I said, we'll stay up late at night every night because we both work late, doesn't mean we will go to bed straight away. I taught my wife how to play poker. Like, we'll have poker tournaments with a glass of wine, you know what I mean? Just nothing crazy, but we'll do that as well.
Doing the stuff together, no matter what that might be. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I'm happy that however you find the balance, you balance it. Whether let's say once a week is all you get, together, like proper day, and it works, that's great.
It's still not even a full day. It's like 5. It's an evening. It's
Oh, you're an
one
evening, actually.
one
Yeah,
evening.
you're right. Yeah,
One
evening.
evening. A
Yeah.
full day. I don't know. I get bored of it.
That would be too much. Nice one. Okay, so professionally, what's Jamie McDonald's plan, for the coming years? Do you have something in mind, whether it's short term, medium and long, or just something overall? Do you have something that,
I have a couple different plans. One of which I cannot talk about because there's an NDA.
no problem. We'll
moving
get you,
on.
in future podcasts. Because Tom said similar stuff, so I'm like, no, it's all good. I'm not going to try to get
There's
information on it.
genuinely an NDA on it. And personally, I don't know. It's I've had a lot of different ideas, a lot of things I want to do. I'd still love to do something pastry related. I definitely prefer the pastry. It's
Would you like to continue as a head chef? Is that not really something?
not necessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy doing it, and particularly the short term over the next. You actually said the next few years, next couple of years. I want to master the craft of being a successful business, and we're better to do that than somewhere like Quayside and Victoria that are an institution that are very.
And you probably have
very
someone
profitable.
that's already there, the owner that
owner. Yeah.
you can
He's
get
mentoring me really well, and over the next couple of years, I have no desire to change that. I can cook to the highest standards in the highest restaurants in Europe. I've proved that. What I've not proved, and what very few 25-year-olds get the ability to prove, is that they can run multi-million-pound businesses. If I can get there in a couple of years, excellent.
Is the plan to stay? I mean, we kind of touch on that. To remain in Jersey, or
Honestly, at this point, I think so. I mean, I miss the UK. I miss going out. I miss having all the different exciting things to do. However, honestly, when you get used to something, the idea of going back to not having that comfort or that security, you're like, fucking, how do I live with that? And the UK is basically becoming a failed state. Like I had a mate die last night. Like it's fucking. That's right. I mean, it happens all the time. I've got stab wounds. It's not a fucking nice place to be. It's like the UK has gone down, and the more I look at Jersey, the more I think of how safe it is, and the more I think about all my mates in the UK, what they go through, what I've been through. Like, do I want to bring my wife into that? No. Do I want to open a business surrounded by that? No. So the more I look at it logistically, the more I think, you know what, I can live in Jersey. It's a nice place.
Oh, nice one. I mean, yeah.
I just miss going out. I miss having that large circle of friends and having all those different disposable activities. That missing that will never go away. But this is safety, the security, and the beauty of the island will.
When you
will
balance
always,
them,
will always
Jersey
outwin.
kind of wins.
And the tax.
I get it. The tax is even bigger, like balance.
People over here moan about the tax. I'm like, fucking hell. How much you want? Oh, I'm fucking
Because they know
I'm on
experience.
16%. I'm on 16%. It's fucking bullshit. I'm like, mate, if you were in the UK right now, you'd be paying double that. I was like, what's your social security? 6. I was like, double it. Like,
Yeah, because people haven't experienced, like
yeah,
wars.
but once you get used to this, I'm like, I'm never going back. I'm never going back.
Nice one. So if people want to find more about your cooking, about yourself, are you on social media? Are you posting?
I am. I'm not massive, but
Where do they find you?
It's Instagram at @thebiglad_.
Facebook as well? Or?
Never on it.
No?
Never on. So I haven't been very good at replying to your messages. I'm never on it. I don't even think I have the Facebook app.
So you just have you get the messages, you have the messenger basically for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have the Facebook app. I'm never on there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the opposite. I don't do that much with Instagram, which I probably should, because I do with my cooking channel and all that, and obviously even with the podcast. But yeah, I should definitely put a bit more thought into it. But there's so many platforms, and it's just me. So yeah, trying my best, obviously, to spread the news, help people, help the industry if I can. I mean, I do like, that people like you. The more people I meet, the more the messages kind of are consistent. Help us with bringing people here, make it easier. help us, with this, help us with that. So I really hope that someone is listening. And
I do too. And if you scratch our backs, we'll scratch yours. Because I'm fucking bored of not having any stuff. And when we get these 9-month work visa people over here, they're so fucking grateful. They're so happy. Their work ethic is amazing. And then we transform their lives, not only ours. It's not a selfish
It's a win-win, yeah.
It's not a selfish act. Yes, they might be taking home 15 grand at the end of their stint from our society. But I mean, grand scheme of Jersey, that's fuck all. They honestly, I remember a good friend, I'd call him now. His name's Alex. He's from Kenya. He worked for us for 9 months as a KP. We gave him all the shifts he wanted. Like, we didn't force him to work.
Yeah.
We didn't force him to work 7 days a week or 6 days a week, but he wanted all the hours he could get. On his day off, he helped me move house, like, for cash in hand. He was just here.
They're amazing.
He was
people,
after the bag.
yeah.
After the bag. He was such a nice guy, and he didn't want to spend any penny. He wanted to take it all home to his family so he could buy them a farm. And I think he had a dream of 19 grand in the 9 months, and he managed to hit it. And honestly, he came here and those tire shoes that they wear over there, made from old tires, and it was snowing, and he was just fucking cycling around on these things, and fair run. And like that, I've seen him. I watch him on WhatsApp, and he sends me a message every now and again. He's now gone home to Kenya, buying a farm, transforming his family's life off the back of the opportunity that we gave him. And why should we make them jump through such hoops to have these opportunities? Is beyond me.
Especially because it's not like there are other options. It's not like you're taking Jersey's born people job.
No.
It's just more of a
not
come if you're interested. From local people, come if you're interested. But if you're not, let us bring others.
Yeah, I couldn't find anyone to get me to move house. He helped me haul all the stuff. I couldn't find anyone to wash pots. And even when he was on pots, he'd do everything. Like, he'd help in the nightclub. He'd like.
But that's when you have a vision and a dream.
He had that vision. He had the dream, and it was for a small farm for him and his family. And
well done to him.
He's there. Yeah. Kudos to the guy. I look forward to him coming back.
Is he coming back?
Yeah, he said he wanted to.
Jamie, I really appreciate this conversation. It was great, but I know you have 200 people waiting for you there. So I'm sure, like, if you don't go, they will scream. And yeah, you have service to do, and I appreciate it even more knowing that you came in your basement.
No, I appreciate it. It's been nice to.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. I honestly, the more I do this, the more I enjoy this, because people have different angles, different perspectives. And I'm kind of a bit behind, because I left like 6 years ago, and finding all this, like kind of getting up to date and people telling their story. I make friends. I mean, I genuinely believe, that we'll talk from now on. I'm probably going to go for dinner and be like, where is the head chef? I want to have a word with him. So yeah, it's all about that. It's all about that, and forming all these friendships, I would say. And
we need to make a better community in Jersey in the hospitality industry, and it's something that I think you're leading. So,
and then podcast is it's a great way of kind of spreading words and news and all that, whether it's video or audio, because we're doing in both formats. Hopefully it gets to the right people, other people are encouraged, and I genuinely want other people to come experience this. It's probably something new for you. It was new to me till I started it.
Yeah. How many have you done now?
So this, I think, is the fourth or fifth. Fourth, I think. Fifth. So yeah, hopefully we're getting better at it. It's just, it's a process. But I totally enjoy it. And I said, if 2 people are listening, 5 people, it doesn't really matter that much. Me just having this conversation with you, it's so much more valuable than anything else. So that's what I enjoy the most. Thank you so much. I really appreciated this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
I'm sure we'll do more in the future.
See you around. Small island.